The sun and various forms of life were first created by the powerful creatures known as the Celestials, and the cosmos was expanding quickly. However, one day a bizarre kind of predator known as deviants appear out of nowhere and start destroying everything in their path. The Eternals are a race of eternal superhumans that the Celestials' commander Eradicating transports to Earth in their spacecraft, the Domo, from the planet Olympia. In 5000 BC, Mesopotamia was a bunch of people are out fishing when suddenly deviants emerge from the water and attack them. The Eternals appear at that precise moment to protect them with their abilities. Ikaris uses his eye beams and flies to battle the animals, while Makari uses her super speed to push the people aside. While Thena and Gilgamesh summon energy weapons to engage in hand-to-hand combat, Kingo fires energy blasts to attack from a distance. Both Sprite and Phastos offer help through their illusions and cutting-edge innovations, respectively. The result is a bloody struggle, and because to the Eternals' superb cooperation, as soon as the deviants are vanquished, squad leader Ajak treats any wounds sustained during combat. When the humans attempt to attack them out of fear, Druid uses his mind-controlling abilities to stop them. The ability to calm them down. Then Circe turns a crude knife into real fine metal as evidence that they are here to aid humanity. The Eternals continue to dwell in the present while feigning normalcy among humans. When Circe arrives in the London classroom where she is scheduled to lecture, she discovers that her boyfriend Dane is standing in for her. Circe instructs her pupils to take shelter under the tables when a strong earthquake suddenly interrupts the lecture. She then intervenes to save some falling debris from crushing a student. A dog in the neighboring river saw a deviant emerge from it. Circe subsequently hosts a small gathering of friends to celebrate Dane's birthday in the evening. Since the illusion is destroyed whenever someone touches her, Sprite quickly quits up trying to make herself appear older and hide the truth that she only ages mentally. Circe declines Dane's request for her to move in with him, which leads Dane to worry whether she's concealing anything. Sprite frequently says strange things. After the celebration, the group starts to go home when suddenly a giant deviant named Crow attacks them. Circe tries her abilities to embed it, but Crow quickly breaks apart and flees into the streets. To confuse the monster, Sprite creates an illusion that duplicates her and Circe, but Crow astounds them by being able to identify who the actual ones are, which deviants were unable of doing. Ikaris arrives and saves Sprite just as Crow is about to kill her, allowing her to go on and confront the deviant head-on. In order to prevent a collision when their fight flips a bus, Circe quickly turns into rose petals. It's obvious that Ikaris has the upper hand and flees down the river, even if Crow once again astounds everyone by revealing that it can repair its own wounds. Dane then asks Circe why they never offered assistance through the worst catastrophes that humanity has ever experienced after she reveals the truth about her identity to him. In order to avoid impeding humanity's progress as a civilization, Circe reveals that they were told to never meddle in the decisions of humans. They were instructed to remain on Earth until it was time to return home after eliminating the deviants. She also admits to Dane that she and Ikaris were married for eons but that their relationship failed. Then she returns to her apartment to talk about the problem with Sprite and Ikaris. After determining that the earthquake and the deviant are related, they decide that the team has to be reassembled. This makes me think of Babylon around 575 BC. Under the direction of the Eternals, who repel any attempts at an attack by the deviants, humanity is progressing. Every time they appear, they are brutal and savage, yet the Eternals battle in unison to dispatch them quickly and painlessly. After one particularly bloody combat, Ajak forms a relationship with Eradicating using her unique Power Stone. She acknowledges her admiration for his ambitious idea but is opposed to what it would imply for people. She is advised by Eradicating to carry out the plan and not to become connected to them. Ajak then returns to the lair where the Eternals are dwelling in plain sight. While Phastos creates a steam engine to support humanity, Sprite utilizes her abilities to enchant youngsters with tales that come to life via her illusions. Druid enjoys utilizing mind control to break up conflicts, but Carey chastises him for interfering when they aren't meant to. Ikaris and Circe spend time together in the interim and confess their feelings for one another in front of the breathtaking beauty of Earth. They are married in the Gupta Empire years later. When Circe, Sprite, and Ikaris visit Ajak's ranch in South Dakota in the present, they discover that she has passed away outside her house. Sprite weeps and conjures an image to cherish her memory. Concluding that the reason Crow could heal itself was because it had slain Ajak by taking her abilities. The stone in Ajak's flesh that the Celestials gave to her emerges as Circe approaches the body to express her grief and clings to her. She sees Erashem, stating it is almost time for a split second before losing sight of him as a result. Ikaris is concerned that it may be Mod Wyri, despite Sprite pointing out that Ajak has picked Circe to be her successor. This reminds me of something else. In Tenochtitlan in the year 1521, the squad was engaged in combat with the planet's final deviants. Humans are at war in the meantime, but Ajak won't allow Druid to put an end to it. Thena suddenly feels ill and declares that it is already too late, for everyone will soon pass away. Because of the element of surprise, her eyes shift, and she starts assaulting her pals, injuring a number of them. Ajak allows her to injure her on purpose so that she may approach and use her skills to free her mind of this odd instinctive response. Gilgamesh steps up and engages Thena in combat until he is able to knock her out. Thena continues to attack her. When Thena wakes up later and has no memory of what occurred, it is discovered that she is Mod Wyri, a condition brought on by her ancient memories converging on themselves and driving her mad. The only option to make her better would be to entirely delete her mind so that she could start anew. Ajak believes that this is the wisest course of action for the sake of safety. The others rage at Ajak, doubting her leadership because they don't want to lose the Thena they adore. He suddenly uses his abilities to end the battle since he is sick of seeing humans murder one another without interfering. He then sets out on his own, warning that the only way to stop him would be to kill him. When Gilgamesh says he can take care of Thena, Ajak agrees to let everyone move in with humans. While they wait for the call from home, they may now focus on finding their own purpose because the deviants are already finished. Returning to the present, Sprite, Circe, and Ikaris fly to Mumbai in order to locate Kingo, who is now a well-known Bollywood celebrity. Karun, his valet, has been working with him for decades and is aware of his secret. When the group explains what is happening to Kingo, he first objects and says he prefers his current way of life. Karun persuades Kingo to act as the hero everyone admires, and Karun even agrees to go along and tape the entire ordeal in a documentary style. They travel to Australia on Kingo's private plane, and while there, Sprite vents her dissatisfaction at Kingo for leaving her behind for fame. Kingo, though, admits that Sprite's storyline inspired him to pursue a career in acting. The squad in Australia locates Thena and Gilgamesh at their rural home after following a trail of dead deviants. Thena spends her time creating some terrifying artwork while Gilgamesh has mastered cooking and housekeeping. She slips up again when they show there, attempting to assault them while claiming that everyone on the earth would soon perish. Gilgamesh stops her, and Sprite clears her of her delusions by reminding her of who she truly is. Circe takes the time to look at Thena's paintings and laments that she can't get back in touch with Erashem, but Gilgamesh provides her some encouragement and reaffirms that listening is more crucial. Circe settles down and unwinds, which causes the stone to finally come alive and for her to emerge in front of Erashem. The Eternals were dispatched to bring about the birth of the celestial Tiamat, since new celestials are born every few millennia and they have done this procedure on numerous worlds before Earth. He informs her that the emergence is taking place and reveals the actual purpose of the Eternals. They are the result of sentient life, which the Deviants' onslaught had prevented. But now that the Eternals had defeated them, Erashem claims it is time to exterminate all life on Earth in order to make room for Tiamat. The discovery horrifies Circe, but Erashem justifies it by explaining that this is simply their life form's cycle of creation. Then he adds that neither Olympia nor the other Eternals ever existed, rather, They are all manufactured beings produced by the world forged for use by the Celestials. Cersei is unable to recall this since each emergence causes the Eternals' memories to be erased. And to top it all off, Erishem created the deviants to maintain the ratio of predators to prey so that intelligent life might flourish, but he lost control of them and they evolved into predators. Because of this, he prevented Eternals from evolving in the same way that they do. Cersei then shares her findings with the team, and they come to understand that Thena's illness is really just ancient memories coming to life and giving them the truth. When they discover they are artificial, they are horrified and unhappy, but the majority of them decide to find a means to preserve the inhabitants of Earth. They reason that they need to locate Druig so they may ask him if he can use his influence to take control of Tiamat's mind. The Eternals then proceed to the Amazon. Druig is residing in a village where he has been in charge of a group of residents who enjoy complete tranquility. He feels betrayed by the knowledge that his entire existence is a deception and does not want to assist the others in their objective. Kingo sympathizes with Sprite in the evening since he knows that she loves Ikaris but hasn't been able to act on it because of her innocent appearance. When Sprite realizes Karun is recording, she accepts the emotion but destroys the camera. Ikaris jealously observes as Cersei contacts Dane to check on him, prompting Cersei to inquire as to why he left her. Ikaris is ready to explain himself when Crow appears out of nowhere and snatches him away. The Eternals act promptly when more deviants attack the settlement. Cersei fortifies a structure to conceal the people within before tossing a number of trees onto the deviants. Cersei instantly orders Druig to stop and bring the humans to safety while he attempts to command them as one cohesive force. Kingo charges his beam for a brief while before blowing off the head of a deviant to end its life. Ikaris battles Crow, who forces him against the ground in order to take his abilities. Then, when Gilgamesh approaches to confront him, Thena once more succumbs to her madness and strikes Ikaris. Gilgamesh observes and moves aside in order to approach Thena and soothe her, successfully calming her down. Then Ikaris pursues a flying deviant, forces it to land in the settlement, and uses his eye beams to murder a large number of the inhabitants. When one of them surprises him from behind, Cersei intervenes, shocking everyone by successfully turning the deviant into a tree, something she had never been able to accomplish before. While Gilgamesh is still engaged in combat with Crow, Crow kills him and steals his powers because he is preoccupied with keeping an eye on Thena. Then Crow transforms, taking on a more human appearance and speaking English. Crow accuses the Eternals of murder, but when Ikaris arrives to refute him, Crow flees. Then, after imploring Thena to always remember, Gilgamesh rushes to her side and passes away in her arms. Gilgamesh's body is later burned, and Thena scatters his ashes into the river. Realizing at last that dominating everyone will only elevate him to the status of a deviant, Druig agrees to participate in the expedition, but they will need to track down Phastos because Druig's might is insufficient to control a Celestial. Another recollection is of Hiroshima in 1945, just after the atomic bomb was dropped. Phastos stood in the aftermath of the blast sobbing to a Jack and feeling guilty for advancing human technology while they continued to kill one another. Here is where he chooses to give up on mankind and loses trust in it. Returning to the present when the crew lands in Chicago, they are horrified to learn that Phastos resides in a suburban home with her husband and kid. After hearing the tale, Phastos adds that although her husband has recovered his confidence in people, he still refuses to leave his family behind in favor of a perilous mission. However, if it means that they and their son would have a future, his husband advises him to go through with it. After arriving in Iraq, the Eternals utilize their abilities to liberate the Domo from its deep lair. For the past many years, Matt Carey has resided there. She solely uses speed to leave for supplies. Phastos suggests using the Unimind to connect everyone's capabilities so that they may be sent to Druig so he can control Tiamat with their combined abilities. Kingo has concerns about the whole thing, and he and Sprite claim they'd like to follow Ikaris' example, who obviously has similar doubts. Ikaris, however, explains to his friend that Kingo is mistaken about who he is. Ikaris then goes back to another recollection. Ikaris learns the truth when a Jack visits him 6 days earlier and informs him that the moment for the emergence has finally arrived. A Jack believes they shouldn't carry out the mission since Earth and mankind are both wonderful and deserve more after spending so much time with them. Ikaris brings a Jack to Alaska and says he has something to show her first. A group of deviants had resurfaced in a frozen lake, and Ikaris reveals that they had been frozen for millennia until the glacier started to melt because the incoming emergence heated up the Earth's core. Ikaris then forces a Jack into the water before declaring his continued loyalty to Erishem. Crow then captures a Jack and takes her abilities. Afterward, Ikaris brings a Jack to the farmhouse, where he hides the corpse for Cersei to discover later. He can't help but send beams that ignite a fire out of his sadness. Ikaris assures Cersei that he still loves her in the present, and Cersei comfortingly holds his hand without responding. A little while later, she feels the stone inside of her begin to activate, signaling that the emergence is about to begin. Matt Carey is sent by Phastos to uncover the source of the emergence, and thanks to her super speed, she travels the whole surface of the planet in search of an active volcano in the Indian Ocean. Ikaris suddenly dons his armor and says that he regrets a Jack's decision to go with Cersei. Ikaris was the one who killed a Jack, the crew discovers as he storms the main chamber and says he has been aware of everything since they left Babylon. Ikaris tries to strike Makari when she returns with the information, but Kingo steps in to deflect the blow. Kingo, who no longer views Ikaris as his leader, intends to retaliate by attacking him, but Sprite interrupts him by declaring her support and conjures up a false reality that lets them escape. Kingo then declares that he and Karun are leaving since he doesn't believe protecting Earth is a good thing, thus the birth of Celestials results in the creation of new planets. To compensate for the absent teammates, the squad requires a fresh strategy. Moreover, Cersei was able to change a deviant into a tree, as Druid points out. Cersei, who doesn't understand why a Jack selected her, is still unsure, but Thena explains that a leader protects those they love, and that a Jack was aware of Cersei's devotion for mankind from the beginning. Cersei, who is prepared to battle, gives Phastos permission to remove the unique stone from her body and use it to fuel the Uni-Mind. Ikaris instructs Sprite to guard the emergence while he breaks into the ship as the Eternals sail to the volcano, in order to keep him preoccupied while the others activate the Uni-Mind and deactivate the volcano. Thena starts attacking him. Ikaris rushes to halt them, killing Druid with his I-beams before striking the spacecraft to cause it to crash. Makari is enraged and starts a violent battle with Ikaris as the volcano behind them explodes to start the emergence. Cersei rushes up the volcano to see if she can do anything, while Thena and Gilgamesh team up with Makari to battle Ikaris. However, they are unable to defeat him since he is too strong, even with their combined efforts. Crow shows in at that very moment and joins the battle as well, focusing on Ikaris. However, the others fight it first because they don't want it to grow more strong. Thena kicks him, knocking him into a cave, where Makari captures him in a dirt whirlwind. Ikaris tries to pursue Cersei using the diversion, but Phastos captures him using a unique trap that he created, keeping him on the ground. Crow tricks Thena's mind within the cave by speaking in Gilgamesh's voice, causing her to let her guard down. Thena awakens to destroy it as soon as it unintentionally quotes Gilgamesh's Remember just as it is ready to absorb her abilities. Cersei is astonished to see a Jack at the volcano's summit before being violently stabbed. Sprite had created an illusion of a Jack, who has always envied Cersei for getting to live a life as an adult. As she is about to use her talents to speed up the emergence, Druid appears and knocks her unconscious. As Tiamat emerges from the volcano, the earth begins to tremble and the sea erupts. Ikaris escapes Phastos' trap and pursues Cersei while Cersei stands on top of him and makes an effort to halt him with her powers. However, upon seeing the woman, he is overcome with memories and finds it difficult to murder her. Cersei takes advantage of the opportunity to activate the Uni-Mind, which gives her the power to increase her abilities and reduce Tiamat to the size of a massive rock statue. Ikari's goes to space after repenting in tears and admitting his error, where the sun scorches him to fit the tale associated with his name. Sprite is heartbroken to learn that he is no longer with her, but Cersei still has some power from the Unimen, so she makes use of it to remove Sprite's immortality so that she can lead a regular human life. The Eternals split off once more after finishing their job. Then, when Phastos heads back to his family, Thena joins Matt Carey and Druig aboard the Domo as they search for more Eternals. When Sprite enrolls at a residential school, Kingo goes back to watching movies. Dane welcomes Cersei back and embraces her for who she is. Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos are suddenly called by the Skyborn Erishem. He informs them that he would remove them for judgment since he knows they deceived them.